So Anduril is trying to be the world's next major defense contractor.
Hardware, defense, and patriotism are in right now. Venture funding is flowing nicely into companies pushing for American resilience, for better infrastructure, for onshore manufacturing, for domestic supply chains, space, and modern defense and deterrence. In this video, I'm going to focus on modern defense and deterrence, highlighting one company that is running a decades-old playbook at Silicon Valley base. In fact, their goal is to become the next defense prime, one that operates on speed, innovation, and disruption of the status quo. Before we go further, let's talk about primes. Let's define primes. One picture really sums everything up. 5 companies typically receive a majority of the departmental contracts each fiscal year. Lockheed Martin, Boeing, Raytheon, General Dynamics, and Northrop Grumman. It's no secret, they are literally called the primes. 10 of the largest defense companies make up over 80% of the industry's revenue, and nearly 2/3 of major weapon systems contracts have just one bidder. And this really would not be a problem if things were going as planned. The Joint Strike Force Agreement is the largest program in the history of the military, projected to run about $1.6 trillion. This is the infamous F-35 program. But 10 years after the program was won, costs are on an average unit level 57 to 89% higher than projected. And this is 6.5 years after the planned timeline, so we're behind.
Hypersonic missiles
Hitting
into
China could
Ukraine.
soon be able to
We believe
deploy
that
a
hypersonics
nuclear-tipped
are one of those
missile
weapon
that
systems.
The news, and even our government officials will stress just how far behind we are from our adversaries China and Russia in the development of hypersonic missiles, despite research into hypersonics dating back to World War II.
Guidance on, we are supersonic. Supersonic.
And 20 years ago, NASA's X-43 model plane reached Mach 9.6 using a scramjet engine. Hypersonics really mattered because of the vastness of the Pacific and what that may do to naval combat. And what about the drone manufacturers? The fact that one company controls 70% of the international drone market, and it's not American. In fact, I couldn't even name you one American consumer drone company. They'll tell you that the exciting part is a founder that collects old Navy SEAL speedboats and even has apparently nuclear missile silos in his collection. But that misses the fact that many of the founders had seen this before. Anduril is the modern defense company, founded by Palmer Luckey, the creator of Oculus VR, alongside a bunch of early Palantir alumni and one of Palmer's early employees at Oculus, Matt Grimm, Trey Stevens, Brian Schimpf, and Joseph Chen. Anduril produces network hardware and AI software at a Silicon Valley pace for the defense and national security industry. Speed, rapid iteration, and a product customer business model that actually aligns for both interests. Anduril is not building products based on military specs as the system currently operates, but rather building products based on what they see happening in the battlefield, what they imagine the future of conventional defense will be, and definitely some intuition. When they build products that don't work, they eat those costs. And when they build the products that work, the customer, the taxpayer, they get better products faster and at lower prices. And all that then rolls into the next research and development cycle. We're totally going to see some beautiful marketing clips in the background, but I promise I will bring this back to one central theme that may not seem to be foremost of the product, but absolutely is the product. So we're going to start with Anduril's Sentry product and see how things change as they start adding capabilities and actually acquiring adjacent companies. Sentry comes in many forms, but bottom line, drones, vessels, objects will be detected between 2 and 15 kilometers out. Not just that, they'll be detected, classified, and labeled. And it's the theme of building observability from the start. That is, data from the start. When I first came across Anduril in 2019, they just launched Anvil. And this is crazy. It is literally a drone battering ram interceptor. Reusable, that is. This is kinetic warfare. For comparison, and maybe some design inspiration, Red Bull commissioned the fastest drone out there so it could chase their Formula One cars. It's clocking out at 350 kilometers per hour. A year later, Ghost drops, a completely unmanned aerial surveillance system. Incredibly quiet, super weather resistant, and something that is portable, going from stationary, sentry-based defense and observability to more in the field, more mobile. Anduril then acquires Area 1 for their Altius platform. It's a loitering munition that can be outfitted with sensors and warheads. More eyes, more surveillance, and now an opportunity to take that to the offensive. Just a few months later, Anduril acquires Copious Imaging. That boosts their object and classification capabilities much, much further than their current ranges. And Copious Imaging, out of MIT Labs, boasts something very unique. Unlike radar, their imaging tech does not release a lot of radiation, and so it can't easily be detected. Rolling into 2022, Anduril acquires Dive. This is Anduril bringing autonomous underwater vehicles into their portfolio, actually really adding sea capabilities to what they already had with land and air mobility. Up to 6,000 meters below, and able to run up to 10 days completely autonomously. Not to mention, a ton of this product is actually 3D printed, so it's efficient. And there's already massive opportunities happening with Australia's Royal Navy and with our partners in the UK as well. In the fall that year, Anduril launches Menace, a mobile command center in a shipping container type platform. That means you can imagine cross seas portability and something that's definitely durable and resilient. On to 2023. Anduril goes on to acquire solid rocket manufacturer Adranos. And this actually puts Anduril in a position to supply those defense primes we started the conversation out with. Adranos invented a proprietary fuel cell that actually can hit further ranges at a much greater efficiency. Alitech is said to have a 40% range increase in solid rocket motors. Just a few months later, Anduril acquires Blue Force Technologies. Blue Force Technologies is developing a Group 5 level autonomous aircraft. To close out 2023, Anduril is going to launch Roadrunner. It's a product kind of similar to Anvil, in that it's meant to intercept, but at faster, larger scales, and something that can actually be loaded with explosives so that it can make greater impact on some of the larger potential threats incoming into an area. And in May 2024, this year, Anduril announces Pulsar, a new family of counter and jamming systems. Think electromagnetic jamming and counter systems to disrupt things potentially in the airspace. This would not be a tech company if they didn't have software, and Anduril calls theirs Lattice. Rather than all the hardware, you'll frequently hear Anduril leadership refer to Lattice as the product. Each new Sentry, Ghost, Shark, they create a greater idea of what's happening. Each Anvil, Roadrunner, and Pulsar systems puts that data to defense actionability. Each Altius, and eventually Fury, helps put that into force. This is the power of connected hardware when you prioritize software first. Lattice is not just the glue holding Anduril's expanding product ecosystem together, but it's actually now hardware agnostic, meaning other companies can integrate that smart software into their products and overall give our operators way more intelligence, more capabilities, and help them make better decisions. Lattice is becoming that single point command and control engine. Product hype, investor hype, insane marketing materials is not to say that it's just that. Anduril is winning too. In March this year, Anduril, alongside Palantir, won a contract to develop 10 Titan systems. Titan is a ground station, and it's got access to space, high aerial sensors, terrestrial sensors. It's going to bring those insights together, and it's going to help provide targeting information for some really important command systems and long-range missile fires. You can imagine that is not something that anybody takes lightly, and it's a huge step for two companies doing modern defense technologies. Think of a bunch of protected servers running onboard AI and machine learning to help shorten data transmit times. Just 1 month later, in April, Anduril is selected as one of two companies to move forward in the Collaborative Combat Aircraft program, alongside General Atomics. They're the company behind some of the most infamous drones that we have, like the MQ-9 Reaper. And this is exactly where two of their acquisitions seem to really play an important role. Blue Force Technologies with that Group 5 level autonomous aircraft, as well as the solid rocket manufacturer they bought. Because the CCA is all about low cost, high scale, unmanned aerial systems that can work collaboratively. Basically, a huge part of the US's drone strategy and how to bridge the gap between these low cost drones and our massively high cost systems like the F-35. At the end of 2022, Anduril announced a $1.48 billion fundraise, their Series E, at a valuation greater than $8 billion. It's clear that something between Anduril's acquisitions, between their rapid product development strategy, between this networked hardware approach that really centers around a software, as well as bringing on third parties and helping make their software something that can feed insights to an overall picture versus just isolated and discrete systems as has been done in the past. There's hope, there's optimism, there's a reason to believe that things are changing, and it looks now more likely than ever that this dream to be that next defense prime, the modern defense prime, seems achievable. I hope you all really enjoyed this one. Anduril has been a fun company to track. Their founder, of course, and their set of founders have a lot of information out there. So definitely watch interviews, get a chance to hear what they say. I'll be making hopefully similar content because what's not just happened from the likes of SpaceX and Palantir, inspiring the potential of a company like Anduril. There's a bunch of companies that Anduril has helped seed and help root, and those companies are doing really unique stuff, not just in defense technology, but bringing industry back into the US.